Have you ever wondered about the man behind the face on the dollar bill? Who was George Washington, really? Beyond the myths and legends, there is a story of a young boy from the Virginia wilderness who would grow up to shape the destiny of a nation. This is the story of the man they call the father of his country. Our journey begins not on a battlefield, but in the untamed forests of colonial Virginia. A young George Washington, barely a teenager, wasn't dreaming of leading armies. He was learning to read the land, to chart its hills and rivers with a surveyor's chain. This work demanded precision, patience, and above all, integrity. Every line he drew had to be true. In these quiet, solitary moments, surrounded by the vastness of the American continent, the seeds of his character were sown. He learned the value of hard work and the unwavering importance of honest principles that would guide him through the monumental challenges that lay ahead. As tensions with Great Britain escalated, Washington's life took a dramatic turn. The surveyor became a soldier, then a commander. Shot heard round the world at Lexington, and Concord plunged the colonies into a fight for their very existence. The fledgling Continental Congress, needing a leader to unite a patchwork of militias into a real army, turned to Washington. He accepted the monumental task, not for glory, but out of a profound sense of duty to his fellow colonists and the cause of liberty. He rode to Cambridge, Massachusetts, a symbol of colonial unity, ready to face the mightiest empire on earth. The early years of the Revolutionary War were fraught with peril and despair. The winter of 1777 at Valley Forge was the Army's crucible. Imagine thousands of men, starving, freezing, their feet wrapped in rags, their spirits nearly broken. Yet, through it all, Washington remained. He walked among his men, sharing their suffering, his steadfast presence a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. He refused to give up, drilling his battered army, transforming them from a ragtag militia into a disciplined fighting force, ready to endure whatever came next. Then came a moment of audacious genius. On a frigid Christmas night in 1776, with the revolution on the brink of collapse, Washington made a gamble that would change history. He decided to cross the ice-choked Delaware River to launch a surprise attack on the Hessian forces garrisoned in Trenton. In the dead of night, through a blinding snowstorm, his men rode across the treacherous waters. The attack was a stunning success. It was more than just a military victory. It was a jolt of electricity to the American cause, a powerful declaration that the fight for independence was far from over. Years of brutal conflict followed, a seesaw of victories and defeats. The war stretched from the fields of New York to the swamps of the South. Washington's leadership was tested time and again. He had to manage not only the enemy on the battlefield but also political infighting, supply shortages, and flagging morale. His resilience was legendary. He learned from his mistakes, adapted his strategies, and, with crucial support from allies like France, kept the flame of revolution alive, slowly but surely pushing the British forces toward a final confrontation. That final confrontation came at Yorktown, Virginia, in the autumn of 1781. In a brilliant display of coordinated military strategy, Washington, alongside French forces on land and sea, trapped the main British army under General Cornwallis. The siege was relentless. Hemmed in, with no hope of escape or reinforcement, Cornwallis had no choice but to surrender. The sight of thousands of British soldiers laying down their arms was a moment of sheer, unbelievable triumph. The world was turned upside down. The long, bloody war was finally over, and a new nation had been born. With the war won, Washington did something that stunned the world. At a time when victorious generals typically seized power for themselves, he voluntarily resigned his commission as commander-in-chief and returned to his farm at Mount Vernon. This act was a powerful statement. It demonstrated his unwavering commitment to the principle that in a republic, the military must be subordinate to civilian rule. He wanted to be a citizen, not a king. His return to private life solidified his legendary status and set a precedent for democratic leadership that would echo through the ages. But the country still needed him. The new nation, loosely held together under the Articles of Confederation, was floundering. A new, stronger form of government was necessary. Washington was called upon once more, this time to preside over the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. His calming, authoritative presence helped guide the contentious debates, fostering compromise among the delegates. When the Constitution was ratified, there was only one man the people trusted to be their first president. Reluctantly, George Washington answered the call to serve yet again. On April 30th, 1789, in New York City, George Washington took the oath of office, becoming the first president of the United States. His presidency was a blank slate. Every action he took would set a precedent for the future. He had to build a functioning government from scratch, establish a sound financial system, and navigate the treacherous waters of foreign policy. He assembled a cabinet of brilliant but often conflicting minds, like Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, skillfully managing their disputes for the good of the country. Washington served 2 terms as president. Guiding the young republic through its fragile early years, he faced down rebellions, negotiated treaties, and worked tirelessly to foster a sense of national identity among people who were used to thinking of themselves as Virginians or New Yorkers, not Americans. In his farewell address, a timeless piece of political wisdom, he warned against the dangers of political factions and foreign entanglements, offering guidance that remains relevant to this day. Finally, his public service complete, Washington retired for good to his beloved Mount Vernon. He spent his final years as he had always wished, as a farmer and a family man, overseeing his estate and enjoying a well-earned peace. He passed away in 1799, leaving a nation in mourning, but also a legacy that would endure. He wasn't a perfect man, but his leadership, his integrity, and his selfless dedication to the ideals of liberty and self-government laid the foundation upon which the United States was built. So the next time you see his face on a dollar bill, remember the real story. Remember the young surveyor, the resolute general, and the reluctant president. Remember the man who, through his extraordinary life, gave substance to the American experiment and truly earned the title, Father of his country. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of George Washington. If you found this story inspiring, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for more deep dives into history. We'll see you in the next video.